I walked into that door. I never signed to a Touch of Jazz. Never did anything but get behind a microphone and sing and write all day, all night in that studio. I remember when Jill Scott walked in. I remember when Musiq Soulchild walked in. I remember when Raheem walked in. I remember when Floetry walked in. I remember when, like, just watching people's dreams come true,
man.
Right? Watching Dre and Vidal
yeah.
Become the massive producers they were because of the freedom
yeah.
in those 4 studio rooms that we became who we are now in those rooms.
Yeah.
But Musiq was, man, just a gifted kid, man. And really rough around the edges, really just the way he heard music and approached it was just unlike anything I had ever heard.
For sure.
And I just remember even like, I just wanted to hear him sing the ABCs. So a lot of it wasn't necessarily like writing for him. A lot of it was like, man, can you sing this so I can hear what you would do to this?
Can we talk? Oh, can we talk? Can we talk? R&B.
What's up? What's up? It's your boy Ian Vaughn, the R&B ambassador. Listen, I apologize for the interruption, but I need you guys to help us continue to grow this channel. We're doing such a fantastic job growing, bringing you amazing content from some of our favorite R&B artists and contributors. I need you to do this one little thing: like, comment, subscribe. Subscribe is key. Also, hit the notification bell. This will help us to continue to bring more and more fantastic artists to the platform. So with that said, this is a continuing conversation. Can we talk R&B? Now back to the show. What's up? What's up? It's your boy Ian Vaughn, and welcome to another episode of the Can We Talk R&B podcast. And I have a very special guest. Listen, this guy is one of the perennial R&B crooners. He's one of the perennial R&B singer-songwriters and independent, I would say, kings in the game. So it's a lot of R&B artists out here, and I know nowadays it's a lot of guys have had to go independent based off of the state of the music industry and so forth. This guy's been holding it down for a very long time. I believe he's 30 years in the game. We have the incredible singer, songwriter, overall family man, talented artist across the board. We have Eric Roberson in the building. What's good?
Man, appreciate it, man. Everything's good, man. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, man. Thank you for making the time.
No, thank you for having me, man. This is amazing. I'm a fan of the podcast. I've listened to so many artists and learned so much from it. So, it's glad to be in this seat.
Yeah. And you came up from South Jersey.
From South Jersey, yeah.
Yeah. So we're in New York, just so y'all know. They know this is a traveling show.
Nice.
So we shoot from the East Coast to the West Coast, down south where I'm from. And it's always good. My job is to, or I guess my mission more or less, is to have conversations with some of the fantastic or amazing contributors to R&B music, whether you're an artist, singer, songwriter, producer, executive, that has great stories that can help educate the public.
Indeed.
On our origin stories and our, just the journey of this thing.
Right.
So let's get into it, man. Well, I guess the same question as I ask everybody. Can we talk R&B?
Of course.
We gotta do that.
I love to talk R&B.
Come on.
Yeah.
Now I do this like a sports show almost. You know what I'm saying? Like we can go like that as a debate show. But nonetheless, what made you fall in love with R&B? Like, how did you even get into this thing?
That's a great question. I mean, just have a musical household. My dad played guitar. Just had a normal job. But would come home and there was a guitar in every room. He would just pick it up and play. But there's a record player with just constant music, you know. And when no one was around, I would go through and pick out the vinyl and read it. I remember as a kid, like, it was a Stevie Wonder record, realizing like, oh, this is his job. Like, this is, oh, he made this. Like, this is like, he goes to work and does this. Oh, this person does that, whatever. I just remember kind of discovering it. But it's interesting, Jersey's so interesting where, we was in church every other day.
Come on.
And so we had that. Of course, we had house music. I remember, like, across the bridge, here's this something happening over there. I think they calling it hip hop. What is that?
Yeah.
And then of course this heavy foundation of R&B, and then just all the other records my dad was bringing home. You know what I mean? But foundation was always like soul music and R&B. Like, that was like immediately like, who is this? Donny Hathaway? Who? Al Green? Like, it was just like really studying all of them.
That translates in your sound. So like when I hear your music, I think I was first introduced to you, had to be around 2012, 2013. So I know you had already been in the game heavy.
Yeah.
But I knew who you were as a writer.
Yeah.
Because I remember seeing you, your name on Previous Cats for Musiq Soulchild.
Right.
And this is when, of course, we buying CDs, we reading. I'm like,
reading
okay,
credits.
and I love that song. That was my favorite song on the album. So I think, but as an artist, I didn't know you were an artist. So it had to be 2012, 2013. One of my good friends, shout out to Kelly, he was like, man, they got this cat, Ian, you need to check out, man. This cat named Eric Roberson, he's so dope. So he had been listening to your music for years.
Yeah.
So this is one of my homeboys from the crib. So fast forward, I guess a couple years later, I ended up opening up for you at a show at the shout out to Shanti Das in Atlanta, and ended up opening up for you in one of those shows. And I got a chance to meet you and see you live in person. And you're like an MC with it. You know
I'm a hip hop kid at the end of the day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, it's like you appreciate this from New Orleans, but it's a gumbo of just numerous things. You know, for me, but I'm still, you know, on the cafeteria table, you know, putting a beat and freestyle and stuff like that. But it's so I just figured out how to just always combine all of it. You know what I mean? But yeah, I spent many years unapologetically introducing myself as, hi, I'm Eric Roberson, a songwriter, like in all the meetings up here. So it hurt when it was time to try to get a record deal. They were like, man, you don't want to, that's Eric Roberson, the songwriter, you know. But then it worked out as well because it kind of allowed me to figure out my own way, you know, doing things. But yeah, it's always been a gumbo of, for me, like if I say it like A Tribe Called Quest, Stevie Wonder, Commission. If I can mix those three things together, and that's been the formula from day one.
Whoa.
You know what I mean? Like from day one.
Tribe Called Quest, Stevie Wonder, and Commission?
Yeah, Commission was I remember listening to Commission, I remember as a kid going, whatever that is, I want to do that. I remember that. Yeah. Like I remember saying it clear as day, like whatever that is. And Stevie was just, could I embody that? Like just that artistry, that creativity. And then just being a love of all different kinds of music, Tribe unlocked something for me. And I always got to give credit to De La Soul too, because De La Soul was probably the first of that.
Yeah.
But it was like, man, I love hip hop, I love gospel, I love rock and roll, I love R&B. How do I do, just do all of it? Just put it all into one thing and unapologetically walk in it. And that's what I've tried to do, you know, from day one.
So take me back to the beginning. So you have this passion for music. You're hearing all these sounds, Commission, you know, Stevie Wonder, Tribe. What made you say, okay, I know I want to do that, but what made you take the first step in terms of artistry?
Well,
or writing, I guess.
So the funny thing was, so I have an older sister named Alicia. Shout out to Alicia. And she's just by far the most creative person I've ever known, right? So just being a little brother, she was the one who really was, she had a band growing up.
Come on.
And she was in theater. She was making clothes, dance. She was taking piano lessons, all that stuff. So just, I wasn't taking any of that. Like they just put me in sports.
Yeah.
But just being a little brother, I was around it all the time. And then my dad's playing guitar and singing. And of course, we singing in church.
Yeah.
So they got me this sequencer keyboard. It was a little, let me say that, before I got the real keyboard, they gave me this little like Casio where I could play something, record it, and then play something over.
Yeah, start tracking.
That changed everything.
For sure.
Like, because up to that point, I was probably skateboarding, breakdancing, freestyling BMX bikes, and just all different kind of stuff, drawing nonstop, like whatever.
Yeah.
That little keyboard came in, it was music. After that,
absolutely,
no skateboarding, no whatever.
Yeah. And
then they bought me like a Sonic ES10, I think it was. I think it was like a 16-track sequencer.
Oh, you had it.
Oh, it was like no turning back at that point. And I had a homie named Daryl. I grew up in a town called Rahway, New Jersey, and he had a 4-track. I had this sequencer. We just making songs and trying to figure it out. And then I won this pageant, Mr. Black Teenage World.
Come on.
and they gave me a full scholarship to Grambling State University in Howard. Yeah, and I was like, oh, it's Howard. Grambling is great.
Yeah, shout out to Grambling.
But it changed my whole course. It changed everything. Of like, I think I'm gonna do this, and I showed up to Howard with that Esonic under my arm, and just walking into the freshman dorm, Drew Hall, like cats was like, "Yo, you do music? What floor are you on?" Yeah, and it was like, wow, no turning back after that.
What year is this?
That's 91. 91.
Okay.
91. Man. So at that point now, I'm heavy in the theater. I'm doing musicals, plays. I went to Howard, majored in musical theater. If I could have majored in R&B or majored in being I'll Be Sure, I would have did it. What I mean? They didn't have a major in I'll Be Sure.
That's right.
So I was like, all right, the closest thing, I love it. Let's do musical theater. Mm-hmm. But our dorm rooms were studios from the moment we walked in there, and it was on and popping, And that's pretty much where it all started.
How many albums have you released?
I think 17.
17.
I think it's 17. I try to do better in keeping count. Like, of course, we have the United Tenors with Fred Hammond and Brian Courtney Wilson and Dave Hollis and my brothers. Man. Me and Fonte the Tigalero. But then I think it's like 17 of mine as well. Yeah.
I asked that. We had Eric Bellinger on the show.
Was it 40? I saw it. That's
40
crazy.
albums.
That's crazy. That's crazy. Yeah. Shout out to Eric Bellinger. And all of them are amazing.
No,
that's crazy.
Yeah.
That his level of work ethic.
And he has a new one dropping. I think I see the promo for it right now. It's like an Afrobeat style.
Yeah, it's
crazy.
I applaud him, and what I will tell you is, I feel like respectfully, I'm an older version of that.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Like I remember. I always say this. I remember at a Touch of Jazz, not to jump. I remember going to Touch of Jazz and Raheem Devine showed up.
Shout out to Raheem.
And I've been working there for years at that point, writing, recording. But I remember walking in and it looked like he was writing with 2 pens.
Wow.
That's what it looked like. Like he was just working so fast. And I remember going, I remember when I worked that fast. I wasn't working that fast anymore. And now I look at Eric Bellinger and it's like the same thing. It's like, he's not sitting on his hands at all. It's like,
not at all.
Afrobeat, let's try it. Boom, it's done. It's Absolutely. Like, and I remember like having that like, there's nothing wrong. Like let's just try it all and let's just release it all. And it's a beautiful thing. I think we're in good hands when you find artists like that and who he's inspiring.
No, absolutely.
To do that. But yeah, 17 doesn't sound like nothing when he got 40.
But it sounds like a lot to me when I have like 3. So it's like, I listen to artists like you even saying that, and to Eric saying 40 albums. I'm like, it's so many artists out here, and specifically for you to have 17, that's still unheard of. A lot of our biggest artists on the major labels with the craziest budgets don't have 17 albums. Yeah. They're celebrating 10 albums. They're celebrating, and I'm talking guys who've had long careers.
Right.
That's a major accomplishment just to be able to do it.
Yeah.
But I remember seeing you perform, and you have this. When I say you MC, you almost freestyled a song on stage. I can't remember.
We do it. Yeah, we make a song up every show.
Yeah. That ability, like that, like where does that come from? Where'd you get that?
I mean, the cafeteria freestyle. Like what I would tell you is that on tour, in rehearsals, we were making songs up all the time. In the studio, we were making up songs all the time.
Yeah.
So why not try it at a show? Why not? And really. It's multiple reasons. One, I want to take words from the crowd to show that it's a team effort. Like what words you give me. If you give me whack words, it's probably gonna be a whack song. But if you give me something way left or something, you say something, the whole crowd goes crazy. It's like, we're gonna pull from this.
Yeah.
But then it's like really just trusting that it's already there. Yeah. I really believe that. Like a long time ago, I stopped saying that I created anything. I say I find it.
Come on.
Because who am I to say I created? It was there before I got here. Yeah. All the stuff, all the words that we've ever written, all the notes we've ever sang, it's already been here.
Yeah.
So for me, what I would say is that we are in the business of finding it, making it maybe more melodic and tightening the production or whatever. And then after that, it then moves on from us.
Yeah.
So a lot of times, and you said this in the beginning, you said sitting on our hands. It's like such a powerful statement.
Yeah.
Because I find a lot of people hold on to music, and I'm like, well, why are you holding on to it? Because it's not yours.
That's a fact.
We're able to make a living from it. I appreciate it. The publishing, all that stuff like that's great.
Yeah.
But when someone else takes that song and it improves their marriage or their self-confidence or helps them heal just whatever, it's living on. It's moving on. And that's the part where, why hold on to that?
I like to say we talk about our talents as a gift, but in reverse, we have a gift to give.
Yeah.
So the gift that I have is for you.
That's it.
You know what I'm saying? It's not even for me.
That's it. So, you know, I've said I can't take any credit of creating a song as much as a fisherman can take credit for creating a fish.
Come on.
You find it.
Yeah.
You find it. And I might be able to cook it really, really
Prepared,
good or whatever and prepare it and serve it. But that's my job, is to prepare it and serve it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I'm constantly always open. So freestyling a song on stage is really that trust. Like, it's already there. And guess what? If it don't work, we got the next show we're gonna do and it's gonna work. Like, you know what I mean? So, and I want people to see that. I want people to see us processing in the show, like putting it all together. And I'm discovering it just like somebody else discovering it, you know?
The record you just mentioned, and I'm trying to pull it up real quick, Ford Tennis, that was
United Tennis,
United Tennis. That was Fred Hammond, Chef's Kiss the GOAT.
King.
Yeah, you know, that was Dave
Brian
Hollister.
Courtney Wilson, David Hollister, and Brian Courtney Wilson.
I'm a fan of all four of you guys.
Yes.
And when that song, man, when I tell you, I remember the album, but the particular song,
Hearing Our Praise.
Hearing Our Praise. My God. I have played that song, and it's just really like what? I mean, it's not even like a whole lot of verses. It's just the same thing being repeated.
It's like almost like a chorus.
But it's a trance. It puts you in a trance, man. And it's really it's a fantastic worship song. It's just hearing you guys' voices on that record. And you mentioned it. I actually forgot about that even leading up to this. But how much I love that record, bro.
Yeah.
I played that song. I'm not joking. I've literally played that song probably 10,000 times.
Wow. Thank you.
I'm not joking.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it.
That was like 2013, 2014?
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
I'm guessing it was
somewhere around that time.
So I'll tell you this. I just had my middle son Ryder is 12. We had just had him. And Fred called me and said, I was outside of Target, taking him out the car seat. I remember this day like it was yesterday. And the phone rings. And to this day, when it was Fred, I'm like, oh my God, Fred Hampton's calling me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I'm like, hey, what's up, Fred? And he's like, hey, I was calling to see you, man. You down being in a group? Like, yeah. Like, what you need? Like, yeah. And I remember he was like, yeah, I think I'm gonna put it together. I just need to know, but we probably gonna record in Dallas. And I was like, looking at like my newborn son and in the 1-year-old in the other car seat. I'm like, Dallas. All right. I remember my wife said, yo, if we gotta move to Dallas, we're gonna move to Dallas, but you gotta do the album.
Yeah.
You gotta do the album. And I will tell you that it was by far the most rewarding thing I've ever done.
Come on.
The brothers in general, Dave, Brian, Fred, like my brothers. Yeah. And I think we all entered it in some form, fashion, broken. For me, I was having traveler's guilt because at this point I got 2 young kids and touring was tough. I couldn't go to the grocery store.
Come on.
After having my second kid. Like my first one, I just brought him everywhere. Yeah. Now I got 2. It's like, all right, now how am I gonna figure this out? So getting with them was the first step of healing that for me. Like, all of them incredible fathers, hands-on. I was able to watch what they were doing and how they were to travel and all to get stuff accomplished. It was the first step of going, okay, I can balance this. And then just watching Fred work. Like, when I tell you, I don't write, over the last, say, 15 years, I maybe a little longer, I don't write anything in the studio. Constantly writing, but I don't, but for me.
Once you get in the studio, you're ready. Is that what
for me, when I get in the studio, I ask, what am I trying to write?
Okay.
Who am I trying to be? What am I going after? And then I hit record. Fred does a version of that. I didn't see Fred write a single thing down.
Wow.
So Fred will play the music and he'll just be like, and he might pull the Bible out and read a little bit. All right, I'm ready.
Wow.
hit record, and he just went, and I was just like, got it.
Wow.
You know, so it was different than how I did it, but it was still the same. It was still like a very clean source. And most of the music he was doing as well, he was doing that in the off time. We weren't there.
Yeah.
We would all fly in, and then we would just first talk like for a day.
Yeah.
About whatever we were all going through, and then we would work, man. And I would tell you, man, it was Hearing Our Praise was the last song we did, probably, at least the last one. I did my vocals on it. That was my last take. And I remember we were leaving, like everybody was on the tour bus asleep. And I was in Fred's house cutting the last part. And I just remember finishing it and hit stop and just busted out crying.
Man.
And just, I'm talking about, I was a wreck, just like laid out, just bust out crying, of just fulfillment and joy, just like, you know, reward.
I can't hold you. That's one of the ones that it takes me there.
Yeah, it's like, it just was, it's, man. And then through the tour, you know, it's crazy because you'll be singing and you look over and then Fred just got a towel over his face. He just like, he's done.
Man.
Or next city, you look over and Brian got a towel over his face and he's just done. Or next city, I got a towel. It, like the songs were like just punching us in the same way those commission records.
Yeah.
I was a kid, my dad won a commission record at a family reunion. And we had an iron and iron boards in the basement.
Okay.
So I'm ironing my clothes, get ready for school. I don't know, I'm 11, 12 or whatever. And I noticed my clothes are wet. And I'm just like looking at the iron and didn't realize I was crying. Like I had put the commission record, I just looked, let me put some music on, put the commission CD in or whatever. And then it just was pulling something out of me. And I looked down and I'm just like, oh snap. And that's when I looked at the music and was like, whatever that is, that's it. I want to do that.
Yeah, man.
You know, I want to do that. And God bless Fred, man. Like man, just amazing.
I don't know Fred.
Person.
I actually ironically opened up for him once before as well. Years ago. But he's been. I don't know if Fred, Mitch, really just the whole commission as a whole.
Yes, the whole.
If they really realize the impact that they've had on these generations across the board. Because it's not an artist, I mean, for the most part that I've had on my show, I see him on other artists on other shows, I always shout out commission and the impact. I don't even realize, I don't know if they realize.
I think they do, but at the same time, you know, it
almost goes to the gift thing, right?
Yeah, it's a turbulence, because during the time when it was really, and Fred said this, like they were flat broke.
Yeah.
And like Boys and Men walking up to him going, yo, if it wasn't for y'all, they like, word, you know, but you can't talk R&B, at least from our generation up, without talking commission. Of course, talking to Wine. I mean, there's so many we can name it, but like if we talk specifically,
but that's the tree. It's Winans, then it's commission.
Yeah. And you know, for me, it was, and the Clark sisters, goodness gracious, right? Sure. First of all, let me even say this. Let's go back. And I saw just a crazy fact that like that high school, it wasn't a performing arts high school in Detroit, had the Clark sisters in there, commission, and BB and CC Winans at the same time.
School. Come on.
Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Like
Detroit is different, right?
It's just
Detroit is different.
It's crazy.
It's almost like Detroit, Philly.
Yeah. Philly's crazy.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like different.
Yeah.
I'm from Louisiana. We got some different folks where I'm from.
Yeah.
But we're not famous. You know what I'm saying? Like we're not like, in terms of the musicians, shout out to like John Baptiste and shout out to, you know, like Trombone Shorty and of course all the legendary musicians that's come out. But when it comes down to that impact, being way in the South, the music from Detroit, I have a lot of family in Detroit as well, but the music from Detroit, the music from Philly, like it's something special in the water. And you being from like South Jersey, that's close to Philly.
Well, I'm North Jersey, but I now live in South Jersey.
Okay.
But I moved to South Jersey closer. I mean, I was working so much in Philly. A lot of people always thought I was from Philly, but I was just in and out, and a lot of that was just me discovering a touch of jazz and figuring out whatever I could do to be there. You know what I'm saying? It was like was why I started working in Philadelphia. But you're right. But it's so many. I mean, we're in Brooklyn right now.
Yeah.
I don't know what high school it was there, but you telling me that Busta Rhymes, Biggie, and Jay-Z was in the same high school? Like, come on. It's just certain things just like, man, it's just crazy, you know?
That's insane. I mean, I don't know if it's well, the times. I guess it'll be interesting in the next 10 years, and we look back and we're like, oh, these people were in this same vicinity being inspired by one another, sharpening each other.
Yeah, no accidents.
Yeah.
Like when you know that at one point Rick James and Joni Mitchell were neighbors.
What?
And when he lived in Canada. Like, there are no accidents.
I didn't know that. Wow.
There are no accidents. Or, you know, so it's so many different things, man, that I just find it magical, man. So
from that point to you actually being full-fledged in the business, again, I mentioned I remember first seeing your name on the Musiq Soulchild Previous Cats record. How'd that come about? How'd that come to be?
I graduated Howard University. I initially moved to Atlanta, and I was trying to do a group, and that group didn't work out. I was working at Noontime. There was a production company in Atlanta. But I was, before that, my senior year of college, I sang background for Kenny Lattimore on the road.
Ah, okay.
His manager at the time managed DJ Jazzy Jeff, who had a touch of jazz.
Come on.
He played this CD for me, and I was just like, are you kidding me? Yeah. Right? It was like the future, of like everything I ever wanted to do. It was on the CD. I stole the CD I still have the CD to this day.
Come on.
Right? And there was a brother named V, who, shout out to V, amazing artist, still to this day. And he was the main vocalist on this CD. And I was just like, please introduce me. I remember telling him, and he was like, nah, you good. Went back to Howard, had the CD the whole time. Was working in Atlanta at this point, but I flew back for a meeting at ASCAP. Brother Bill Brown, God bless you, Bill Brown. And in the meeting, he said, my meeting's done. The next meeting's coming in. He says, hey, do you know this guy? This is Keith Pelzer from A Touch of Jazz. I'm like, when are you going back? He's like, I'm going back at this meeting. I was like, I'll meet you there. And I never left. I was like, if you walk me in the doors of A Touch of Jazz, I promise you I'm never leaving.
Yeah.
And Jazzy Jeff, man, if I can't say enough, the most giving person I know.
Yes.
Hands down. I walked into that door. I never signed to A Touch of Jazz. I never did anything but get behind a microphone and sing and write all day, all night in that studio. I remember when Jill Scott walked in. I remember when Musiq Soulchild walked in. I remember when Raheem walked in. I remember when Floetry walked in. I remember when just watching people's dreams come true,
man. Right?
Watching Dre and Vidal become the massive producers they were because of the freedom in those 4 studio rooms that we became who we are now in those rooms.
Yeah.
But music was, man, just a gifted kid, man, and really rough around the edges, really just the way he heard music and approached it was just unlike anything I had ever heard.
For sure.
And I just remember even I just wanted to hear him sing the ABCs, so a lot of it wasn't necessarily writing for him. A lot of it was like, man, can you sing this so I can hear what you would do to this? And so all the songs we did, I wrote Merry Go Round on the first album, and I wrote Previous Cats on the second album, was before he ever had a record deal. We were just working. Just love what you're doing, let's do it. But the funny thing with Previous Cats was he said, that's gonna be for my second album. So then he gets signed to Def Jam, and it's like, oh, okay, we working now. We're working, all right, let's go. Yo, remember the Previous Cats? No, it's for the second album.
Come on.
Who are you? What? And then sure enough, second album come, he like, yo, I'm working on the second album. All right, let me get that Previous Cat song.
Yeah, so he already had the formula.
He already had the formula, man. The kid was just a man, of course, but was just amazing. Like really, really amazing. But, you know, music was in one room and Jill was in another room. They were making those albums at the same time.
Ridiculous.
And it was night and day, but brilliant in the same way. Because Jill came in, she always could sing, don't get me wrong, but she was a proud spoken word artist. She would get on stage with a pad, like a notebook, and she would just recite, and it was like, she was just as cold doing spoken word as she was as singing. So now we're in the studio, and now it's like she's figuring out how to balance, like how to really combine and morph them together. Songs this girl was coming up with was just like, you knew it was going to happen. With music, we were kind of like, this really feels special. We know that's out the park. That's out. She's out the park. I don't know what this is, but this is really special. I'm enjoying like witnessing both of them. Music's first meeting, he gets signed. Trajectory gone.
He kicked in the door. And I just remember just when I first heard the sound, I think it was a friend, I can't remember his first single.
Just Friends,
Just Friends. And I remember hearing, I'm like, it sounded familiar, but I had never heard it before, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, totally.
And I'm like, man, this dude is crazy. And as a singer, I'm like, man, why is he was just, the notes he was choosing. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, why is he, but it was just so, it was jazzy, obviously it was R&B, it was soul, it was just Musiq Soulchild. Fast forward to the impact of those records that you just mentioned. Earlier this year in March, I was in LA and I went to Musiq Soulchild show, this random, and like a random Wednesday or Thursday night, 2,000-3,000 people are there. Everyone in there were under 35.
Which is amazing.
Amazing. Singing every song.
Yeah.
But they were singing previous cats word for word.
Wow.
Is that I'm not to blame, but I was sitting there like, I mean, kids, little white kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like little white kids.
That's crazy.
Yes.
And you know, what I will tell you is that, you know, it wasn't a single.
I know.
Like none, really, I've written for a lot of people. Very rarely are the songs that I write the singles.
Yeah.
But what I will tell you is that being at Def Jam at the time, I remember walking through the Def Jam building and like every office was playing a song. And it's like, the funniest story, me and a brother named Jermaine Mobley, who I did previous cats with, we are in Jamaica for a wedding. Their manager at the time was getting married, and we were in Jamaica. We're at a restaurant. Lo and behold, right next to us is Kevin Lyles and Russell Simmons. Right? And Russell is ranting because they about to go to a wedding. And he doesn't have a shirt to wear the way he wants it to be casual. Yeah. So he literally, so we already see him. All right, play cool. That's okay, cool. We gonna chill. And then, but Russell goes, I just need like a white T-shirt. I just need like the T-shirt this guy got on. And he points at me. And I go, Mr. Simmons, no disrespect, first a pleasure, big fan. I got another one of these shirts, like I never wore it. It's right in our villa, right across the street. Yeah. He's like, get his number, send 2 people over to get the shirt. I'm gonna wear that shirt, like this, whatever. So I'm like, no problem, cool. So then he shakes our hands, he walks away, and then Kevin comes over, and he's like, oh, that's really nice of you to offer your shirt. I'm like, and it's all cool. I said, hey, by the way, you know, we're writers and producers. I'm all in your building. Case, you know, Musiq Soulchild. You know, we just worked on Music's second album. And he goes, yeah, what song? We said Previous Cats. He goes, oh, Previous Cats. Love the song. Not a single, but I love the song. When he said that, it like crushed us. He was like, love the song. Not a single.
Not a single.
Cry, you know.
If it was a single, it would have went.
Yeah, I mean, but you know.
No question.
What I would tell you is I remember shopping that song, and I think I take it as just trying to write different or just trying to be authentic or whatever. I wrote the song when I was in college. Yeah. And it was going through that. Yeah. Like, and I remember just when I was shopping it, I remember A&R's going like, why don't you call it Previous Dudes? You know, when you shopping records, they like, I don't know about this one and Previous, why don't you say, you know, the last guy, you know, they give you all these credits, but it was a different record. But to this day, you know, 30 years later, he's still choosing to sing it. Right. The crowd is still singing along to it. Right. Really means that the song was really special.
Right. So some of the novices out there, this is kind of like a shout to my producer. Like she loves R&B, but she doesn't know all the R&B, the joints that make R&B what it is to me. Right. And to me, it's the B-sides, you know. Yeah. So when people don't understand, I'll just explain this real quick. R&B is rhythm and blues. So on vinyl back in the day, the R It's the rhythm side.
The rhythm side.
That's the more upbeat,
That's
groovy
right.
singles.
You just flip it up.
Flip it on the other side, the B-sides.
Right.
The B-sides are the ones. Those weren't singles, but those were the joints.
It was the meat and potatoes.
I know you just learned something. But, you know, I love that record. So let's switch gears. I really love that record. I love that story as well. So let's switch gears back to your artistry. More recently, I'm not sure, I think this is 2021, I believe. You had another song that really was, I just thought it was a very powerful record, Lessons.
Yeah.
Let's go on a deep dive. Tell me how that song came about. I know you had Anthony Hamilton, you had Kevin Ross, you had Raheem Devon on that record.
Right. So first was, I was teaching at Berkeley. We had the pandemic.
Right.
So now everything closes down. So now I'm teaching virtually to these classes, and I'm an open guinea pig.
Sure.
Like, hey, just watch what I'm doing as well. And it was one thing of just saying, like, I really believe in, like, you need 30 ways to talk, 30 pieces of content. Before you release a song, you need to have 30 ways to talk about it, right? Before you even release it. So they were, you know, I was constantly preaching, but I was like, I got to practice it too.
Yeah.
But shout out to these amazing producers, Anakin and Vader, first and foremost. They sent me the track. And I'm blown away by it. I'm like, can I buy it right now? And they said, with all respect, they're good friends. They said, we sent it to somebody else first.
Yeah.
Let's find out what they're gonna do. And if he doesn't use it, no problem. And it's just amazing when I talk about how everything is already there.
Yeah.
Middle of the pandemic, it's the beginning of the pandemic, right? So it's a little crazy, or middle of the pandemic, whatever. And 3 days later, they called me. It's like 11 o'clock at night. And like, we didn't hear back from him. If you want the record, it's all yours. No problem. I'm going down there tonight. I'm cutting this song tonight. Cause like, I'm not, by no means if he calls tomorrow, you're like, it's too late.
Yeah.
But it was now the next day was my anniversary. Like going into the morning.
Yeah.
So I finally get the kids to sleep, finally get wifey go to sleep. It's like 1 o'clock in the morning or whatever. I'm like, and I think something about quietness of the pandemic, it's my anniversary. I'm kind of thinking about that. And I did some kind of podcast-y recording the day before. So there was cameras set up in the room, in the studio. I'm setting everything up, put the song in, and I wrote this line, like almost like a little joke. I said, God is a comedian. So stop taking things so serious. Sometimes he trips you up just for the hell of it. That was just like random, like just in my writing, right? So that was on my mind, and I'm thinking about, man, it's like, what year is this? My anniversary. What am I gonna do? I can't go nowhere. I'm gonna figure out something. And then I started channeling into the song. Okay, I loaded the track up. Who do I want to be? What am I going after? Okay, I had this line, God's a comedian. Cool. Hit record, but before I hit record on the camera too. Just set up, all right, hit record. I got a tank top on. I'm not even like presentable. I ain't got no hat, and I was just like,
chilling.
I was just chilling. It was like 2 o'clock in the morning. God has a funny way of showing you lessons, and cut it down. I did the whole first half, like just freestyled it down. Stopped everything, whatever. Bounced the camera thing to the laptop. And put the recording over it because it was just recording me just live in the room, and posted it and went to bed. And woke up the next morning like 3,000 comments. What is this? This is crazy. Oh, I didn't know. And I was like, oh, okay.
I guarantee I'm one of the comments. I remember the video.
No, yeah.
So you telling the story? I'm sitting here like,
it just posted. And but what I will tell you is the interesting thing is why. If I wrote something the first time they sent me the track, it would have been something different. It's a blessing. They said, hey, we sent it somewhere else first. Can you wait to see what happens? I didn't take it personal. I wasn't offended. How dare you send, I was like, cool, man. Listen, if it's meant for me, it's meant for me.
Yeah.
It's meant for them, it's meant for them. When they call me back, now I'm thinking about my anniversary, my marriage, my whatever, ups and downs, and somehow we're getting through this. Like, I'm worried about my parents, worried about my friends. I'm sick. I'm trying to figure this out. So all of that was in there. And then now we got like all these comments showed me like, this is one of them.
Yeah,
Okay, this is a special song.
special.
Let's pull it back. I have a Patreon page. So first I just released it on a Patreon page. And the Patreon page went from, I think, like 500 members to like 3,000 members.
Wow.
Just from the song.
Wow.
Like, if you want to hear the song, in hindsight, I often question, like, should I ever release, like, should I just kept it there? Because it was growing so much.
Yeah.
But in that time of it growing, it was like, let's shoot the video, shoot the content. And then Raheem called. He was like, I love the song. If you need something, holla at me. Here's the 2-track. You ain't got to tell me twice. You know what I mean? Here's the 2. Yeah. Slip. You ain't got to tell me twice.
If you need something, he
was like, if you need what? And Anshia, who does part of my booking, she worked with Kevin Ross, and initially Kevin just wanted to talk to me. He was like, I got some questions for him. I would love to just pick his brain. Let's schedule it, whatever.
Love Kevin.
But while we at it, here's a 2-track too.
Yeah.
You know, and me and Anthony had been talking about doing some writing, doing some working. It all came together organically. There was no campaigning for anybody. It was just who was in arm's reach in conversation.
Yeah.
The beautiful thing was when we went to shoot the video, because of course still in the pandemic, we all recorded separately. They all sent their stems in and stuff like that. But now we're together, and we're like, hey, let's sing it for the video, and it just made sense. I mean, Anthony's the baritone, true Otis Redding type baritone.
Yeah.
I'm probably low tenor.
Yeah,
and you got Raheem and Kevin can fight over the top.
10-1, 10-2.
10-1 and 10-2. I mean, you know, Kevin is jumping out the rafters, right?
Crazy.
And then Raheem with this falsetto, beautiful. So it was no question. We just went in and sang the hook down, and we were looking at each other like, how? Like, oh, this is crazy, you know?
Yeah.
But it was just really also, I think that I was getting up there. I'm 51 now, so I probably was, whatever, 48, 49, 48 or whatever. And I'm teaching, I'm slowing down. I'm like, all right, you know, how many records I'm supposed to be doing?
That's
and
right.
you know, the world could tell you like, hey man, why? Or they'll say, I'm just surprised you're still doing it.
Yeah.
Like, what are you talking about? Surprised we're still doing it? First of all, you see how much money we making
Come
on
on.
this.
That's right.
Why I'm still doing it.
Yeah.
But I love it too.
Yeah.
And then, but to have this record go to another level, like it might be the biggest song I've ever had.
Wow.
At this age, after all the songs I've written, after all the albums, really showed like, man, stop listening to people.
Just. And this is a whole new era. Like today, I mean, I remember those conversations. Once you hit a certain age, you know, whatever. But they didn't say that to Mick Jagger. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They didn't say that to the Rolling Stones or to these bands. They're saying that to R&B soul artists. I'm like, I saw Anita Baker a couple years ago. She is killing. You know, I see Charlie Wilson on the road.
Yeah.
Killing. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, R&B is one of those evergreen styles of music that you put out. A lot of people may not jump onto it right away as a hit because it's not formulated that way. But in terms of it being received by the people who hear it, they'll play that record for 100 years.
I totally agree.
You know?
And you gotta think also with the undertone being soul, I think a lot of times, and we see it. I mean, look at how many left turns Stevie Wonder made. Mm-hmm. Think of the turns that Al Green made. Think of the turns Marvin Gaye made. Yeah. Right? So it's not an assembly line type music.
Right.
It's like if you go to Africa or if you fall in love, or you start playing guitar all of a sudden, you're going to change, right? After you read a certain book, you're going to sing something different. You're going to write something different. So I think a lot of times we may get a black eye for evolving. And it's like, but if you can, and I'm very thankful for the fans I have, for the small circle that have grown with me. and have given me the patience, have been patient with me while I'm figuring stuff out and like, you know, writing about different things and figuring, you know what I mean, it's whatever. So it's like, that's the one thing, but I don't think there's a time limit to it. There's no whatever. And I love that about hip hop now. I find that we now have 40 and 50-year-old rappers. And guess what? You don't have to rap about what the 19-year-old guy rap. I want to hear what you.
I want to hear what you, at your age,
at your age right now, because yo, we married now. We,
That's right.
We parents now.
That's right.
When I talk in the barbershop, I'm trying to figure out. We trying to figure out this stuff. So why don't you rhyme about trying to figure it out? So why not sing about? You know,
Nas came out the last so many years. He's dropped King's Disease 1, 2, and 3, Magic 1 and 2, and arguably this is some of his best music.
His best music,
you know, or it's just as good. I mean, he's my favorite rapper of all time, but I'm like, this stuff is so fresh. It's just as good as anything that I've ever heard. And I want that same thing for a lot of us R&B artists. Keep contributing, man. Keep writing, keep putting it out. And I know our lives are different. And we have to make a living at the same time, but you know, there's some special in terms of that gift thing. We're again referring to that. You know, this is it's for the world.
And I've learned I have no idea what works, so I just do the work.
Come on.
The newest thing I've been saying now is make a living off what works. Don't take personal what doesn't.
Yeah. Can you touch on a little bit? We talked about the Patreon. Can you talk about the benefits, like as a independent artist, like having a Patreon, or how that can help sustain you, or talk about?
So I have a group called The Process. So my Patreon page is called The Process, and what it is everything I create in front of them. So every song for the last 7-8 years, they've A&R'd all the albums. So I think I made an album. I did these albums every 3 months. I did an album one called Earth. The next one was Wind. The next one was Fire.
Okay.
And that was the start of it. That was so let's say with Earth, I made 14 songs, and then they picked the 8 that went on it, and the next one was whatever. And it's still to this day. I'm working on an album called Beautifully All Over the Place right now. And 2 days ago, we did like a live, we call it a Trusted Ear Coalition, where they just live streamed, and I just played all the ballads, and they voted on the ballads. The benefit for me with this is I get to know it works ahead of time before I even release it to the public.
From your audience.
From the audience. This is the core fans. And even Lessons, for example, I did the first half, like I said, that night. And then I think 2 days later, I did a Zoom studio session with, I said, whoever wants to join, I'm gonna write the rest of the song and cut it in front of everybody.
Nice.
And during that session, one of the Process members, because initially I called it Now I Realize. I didn't, I was like, Now I Realize, right? So we were like, what should we call it? And so they're going on in the chat while I'm recording. Anakin and Vader, the amazing producers, were like hosting and narrating. So they were like, hey, what we should call it? One of the Process members said, you should call it Lessons.
Come on.
It was like, what? I think that's what, so it's like, I appreciate the feedback, and I want them to still know, like, it's still about reading credits, knowing who did what, who played bass on this, who wrote the bridge. It's like really showing how this thing comes together.
Yeah.
And it's crazy that it grows, it shrinks, it grows, but it is a residual income also if I'm keeping a buck 100. And now we've done it to the point now where we have so many paid members that we offer a free membership. We give them the same thing. You have a choice. Like, yo, you can pay or be free. You still gonna get this music. Because at the end of the day, it's about not sitting on your hands. I want to show you, like, we are really trying to, like, move the needle and see what works. And I want your input. I want your input more than I want your money, right? Now, if you give money, God bless you. That's great.
Yeah.
But I really want your input. It's been really, really helpful. We have... It's grown in so many things now because we have like Process retreats.
Come on.
We do a weekly podcast internally with them. They come to sound checks.
Nice.
Like it's grown into a really big family. And then of course there's the life part of it.
Yeah.
Like with the podcast, man, and sometimes they'll get on and we'll just talk about our kids. And some people have kids with disabilities and delays and things like that. So it's like sharing to another level, and that stuff shows up in the music.
Yeah,
it shows
up. Powerful. It's inspiring. I'm sitting here like, I do this show, and obviously I'm an artist too.
Yeah.
And we talk about sitting on your hands. We talk about, I got some music, man, that I never released that's so cold. I ain't gonna hold you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, I plan on releasing, but I'm like, I want to strategize it, blah, blah, blah. Man, I'm just about to drop this stuff.
Drop it. And what I'll tell everybody is that the same creativity that you use to write it, spend a week, 2 weeks, a month, using the same creativity to how to release it, how to market it.
That's
and
right.
it's just coming. We are in the attention business now.
That's right.
We're not in the music business no more.
That's right.
And it's like, so what can you do that makes somebody go, what's Ian doing over there?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, like that's it.
That's right.
And guess what? If you play the song and they don't turn, don't take it personal.
Yeah.
But figure it out, revamp it, introduce it.
That's right.
And just keep knocking on the door.
That's right.
Till they turn.
That's right.
It's as simple as that. So for me, man, I've been releasing like a song every other month now.
Yeah.
And then we have a whole album coming. So I'm gonna release, dude, if I wrote like 100 songs in the last 2 years.
Come on.
So I'm not sitting on it. I'm saying, all right, we just drop it.
Yeah.
What is doing?
Yeah.
I did a song called Things Meant. It's like a folk song.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably the most successful song that I've done over the last year and a half. But it's not connected. It's like off brand. I'm talking about like it got stream numbers is crazy on Spotify and all stuff like that. No one at my shows is asking for the song.
Wow.
It's living somewhere else. It's jumping on these playlists. So I realized like it's like, and then we'll get in our staff meetings like, well, should we try to find it? And I'm like, no, just let it live.
Let it do what it's doing. Yeah.
And guess what? I'm gonna give another song like that one day because I wake up and one day I'm hearing R&B, next day I'm hearing rock and roll, next day I'm hearing whatever. We just gonna release it and do it, but
just contribute. Just give offerings.
Give offerings.
Yeah.
And be prepared when the attention shifts. I don't know how to get the attention. I just know what to do when the attention comes.
Man, let's switch gears. I got a couple hot take questions.
Hey, let's do it.
In terms of genre, well, R&B eras, what would be your favorite? 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s?
Oh, that's tough. That's tough. I'm a Libra, man. I'm indecisive. You can't ask me that. I mean, it's either the 70s and the 80s is the start of hip hop. Oh, cool. It's either the 70s or the 90s. Because it's either, I mean, Stevie Wonder's run through the 70s.
Mm-hmm.
Bird Flag. It's 70s, or it's that soul and that hip hop R&B, Mary J. Blige, freaking Jodeci.
Come on.
And I ain't gonna hold you. I'm gonna keep it a buck. I learned so much about songwriting and music from like Busta Rhymes and like so many MCs who were like just breaking rules. So the 90s is important. But if I got answers 70s and 90s, I'm gonna say we wouldn't have the 90s without the 70s.
Okay.
So I'm gonna say the 70s.
Gotcha.
Jesus. I ain't gonna sleep at night. That answer.
So if you can give me like your Mount Rushmore of singers, and you can combine men and women or
how many
R&B singers?
Any amount of?
Well, Mount Rushmore. So let's just say 4, but for the sake of it, let's make it 5.
Jesus. Stevie Wonder. Shaka Khan, because of that sweetness of her voice. I was about to say Aretha. I love Aretha. I'm sorry, Aretha. Stevie Wonder, Shaka Khan. Ooh, Jesus. Marvin Gaye. Al Green, because of that sweetness as well. No, well, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Al. Sorry, Al. Sam Cooke.
Come on.
God, I gotta say Sam. Okay, so wait. Stevie Wonder, Shaka Khan, Sam freaking Cooke.
Yeah.
That rasp. Kim Burrell.
Come on. Got to.
I know we talking R&B, but Kim Burrell.
Nah, but you got to. Yeah.
Kim Burrell.
We were talking, we always talk about like the new generation artists who are like really killing. And of course, Jasmine Sullivan comes up all the time as one of the all times, right?
She's incredible.
She, to me, is a combination of Lauryn Hill, Kim Burrell, and Brandy.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right.
Mix it up and you
you're
got
absolutely
jazz.
right. I always get the Kim Burrell part, but you're absolutely right with the Lauryn and
Hit
Brandy.
Them harmonies are all, like I say all, but it's that Lauryn
It's
feel.
there, yeah. It's so there. I would say that, I mean, I've known Jasmine for years. I remember just, when she was at like 15, 16 years old. I remember I had a 30th birthday party. I was 30th birthday party in my parents' backyard, big jam session. And she was probably, like, I don't know, I was 16 years old or 17. She came in and tore the whole thing. Tore the whole thing down. So she deserved, I mean, she literally could be, I mean, she could easily be in there. Out of respect, I would say Kim.
Yeah.
Love you, Jasmine. I love you. Where am I? I'm 4? I'm at 4, so I only got one more left?
Well, you said Kim, you said Shaka, you said...
I said Marvin, Sam,
and Stevie, and Sam.
And Kim.
Yeah.
So that's 5.
That's
right
5.
now.
Yeah. Now that's a strong 5. That's a super strong 5.
But I mean, there's so many. Oh my God! How do you not put Donny Hathaway in that?
Oh man,
in that list? Right. How do you not put Otis Redding in that?
It's
list?
always a tough conversation. I ask those questions. Obviously, this is a topic of conversation. People say top 5, but I'm like, man, it's so difficult to just to do that.
Can I give you you didn't ask this question, but I'll just say this because this is a bona fide answer. If I could trade a voice with someone, if I could have anyone's voice and ability, give me Terrence Trent D'Arby's voice.
Ooh.
Terrence Trent D'Arby. Now, I wouldn't put him on Mount Rushmore, even though he could easily be up there.
Yeah.
But I don't know if there's respectful. I don't know if there's a better voice.
Very unique strength.
That string, that rasp, the clearest falsetto you can possibly imagine. Chest range up there with Stokely and all of them.
Yeah.
Got the church riffs, got the rock riffs, got all of it.
Man.
I mean, when you really listen to it, I always call his voice honey mustard. Like it's just, if I could trade with somebody, if I was like, give me that voice.
Wow.
Like,
I don't think I've ever even thought of that question. To trade my voice. I can't even think of that. That's
Can We Talk R&B?
Yeah, I love it. I love it.
If there was ever somebody, I don't know if I ever thought that was Stevie. I love Stevie's voice. It's like I respect it and just have it. And Donnie, you can't have a better voice.
Man.
But something about Terrence, it's like, man, at one point he sounds super raspy, and in another area he's super clean. It's like, how can you have both?
Skillful.
How could you have both?
Man.
Like, just in range.
That's almost like a little crate dive, a little deep dive for sure.
He had an album called Vibrator. It's probably the most influential album for me of my career. And I mean, there's like how I sounded before J Dilla, how I sounded after, or how I sounded before D'Angelo, how I sounded after. But really, it was how I sounded before Terrence Trent D'Arby's Vibrator album and how I sounded after that album.
Come on.
That was the album that made me go, oh, I gotta take this pen serious. These songs, like each one has to be, I have to pour my entire soul into it or else I'm not doing it.
Man.
It was like, it was the start of that record.
Fantastic. I love that. Man, Eric, it's been an absolute pleasure. This has been such a good conversation.
Listen, honor's mine, man.
Yeah,
honor's mine.
I love it.
I got 50,000 questions for you, so it's all good.
We can have it. But look, guys, thank you guys for tuning into another episode of the Can We Talk R&B podcast. We have none other than my brother, Eric Roberson, in the building. God bless.
Can we talk? Oh, can we talk? Can we talk?